the plant out the ground. For those who don't know, removing shrubs, trees, plants from the ground in Tucson is hectic. If you want to do it, you need to make sure you have a good shovel. You need to make sure you have a pick, and all a pick is a long. Hi guys, it's the Black Bonsai Guy, and I am back here again. Today is a very special episode of hunting and shopping in the garden for plants / what I do on my Wednesday segment, actual gardening. So this is a in between video. I'll actually post this on Wednesday, but I was actually hunting and shopping for discounted plants. For those who are new to my show, welcome. Also welcome my BBs and my BGs. That's my bonsai boys and my bonsai girls. So I'm hunting and shopping for discounted plants. That is a segment that I produce every Monday on this channel. And basically what I do is I look at OfferUp, I look at Facebook Marketplace, I look at Craigslist, and those are my three primary tools that I use to find people that are selling garden related things at a discounted price. So I'm looking, I'm not finding anything that I personally want, but I found a whole bunch of stuff to share with you guys. So something just told me to go to Craigslist. So I went to Craigslist and I did something that I don't really do a lot. I actually looked in their free section. So if you go to Craigslist and you go to for sale, and under for sale, there's a free section. And there's also a barter section. So in the free section, there was a guy that was giving away 2 Italian Cypress trees. One of them is about 6 feet, maybe 6.5 feet tall, and the other is about 8 feet tall. So I emailed him and I said, are these still available? I'd love to have them if you give them away for free still. He said, yep, sure thing. He gave me his number. I emailed him my number back. I told him I'd call him in the morning because it was pretty late. It was around 10 o'clock when I found the deal. So I woke up in the morning, I called him, left a voice message, and he actually had a typo in the email. The number was for someone else, so they got my voicemail on there. So luckily something told me just to email him back and say, hey, I called you, I left you a voicemail, and I text you. Let me know when you have time. So he said, that's weird, I didn't get a call. So he checked the number he gave me in the email and it was off by a digit. This fat thumbed it. So anyway, we wound up connecting. I went over there on my lunch break to grab the trees. I was worried because I actually hurt my back last week. I was working out on what they call a rebounder trampoline. I got the Bellicon thing and I was doing this. It wasn't the Bellicon fault. It was the person that was doing this move and I really didn't know what they were doing. And I wound up tweaking my back twice. One time when I was on the machine and I got off the machine and I was going to, I had something lined up that day. I forgot what it was, but I had to take a shower and I was taking a shower, washing my feet, bending over, and the back went out again. 2 times in less than an hour. And the second time it was brutal. But anyway, I was concerned about digging up the Italian Cypress trees because my back is still hurting. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably a 4. It was on an 8 to 10 scale for about, I think I heard it last Thursday, so today will be a week. It was on there for at least 4 days. It was in there between the 8 to 10 range. And I went to go see my chiropractor, and he put me on a decompressor machine and cracked me up, and it got better with that. So now I think I'm probably about a 4, 3 or 4. So I estimate by next week I should be back to about a 1 or so. And plus I'm interested in getting back on the Bellicon machine. I love working out on that. It's a good way to do some cardio. But anyway, I digress. You guys are not here to listen to Jonathan's personal problems. You're here for hunting and shopping for discount plants and to get some information on gardening. So boom, I hit them up. I'm like, look, how long have the trees been in the ground? I'm looking at them from the picture and they look like they could not have been in the ground for more than a year or so. If it was something that was over a year, I was really concerned because I thought that I was gonna have to really put my back into it to dig the plant out the ground. For those who don't know, removing shrubs, trees, plants from the ground in Tucson is hectic. If you want to do it, you need to make sure you have a good shovel. You need to make sure you have a pick, and all a pick is a long metal rod. It's probably about 2 inches thick, and on one end of it, it has like it's shaped like a nail, and maybe on the other end, it has like a T on it. And you just basically drive that in the ground and kind of work in a circle, drive it in the ground, lift up, and then hopefully you can get your shovel underneath that and then pry those roots out the ground. Tucson is very hard because we have that caliche, which is a hard clay soil, so that can be problematic from time to time. I'm looking at it on the pictures, and I'm like, man, please don't let this be hard, because I removed some roses out of the ground one time with someone, and the person that I was removing roses out of the ground with almost passed out. A, from heat exhaustion, B, from dehydration, and C, just from the physical labor that it takes when you're removing something from the ground. So you gotta be careful, especially in the summertime. Luckily it's the winter, I didn't have to worry about that. So I'm worried that it could be too far embedded in the ground for me to get it out with my back. If I didn't have my back hurting, it would be no problem. I could get it out there. So we get over there, I pull up, I'm looking at them, and I'm walking up and I'm looking at the ground, and I say, oh, we'll be able to pop these out and no problem. The guy that I went to get it from, he was a little bit more pessimistic than I was, but I could tell that they planted that plant in a hole. I believe a palm tree was in that hole previously, and that palm tree had was dug up, but they still had roots that were still in the soil. So I knew that Italian cypress, if I said Italian juniper, I meant Italian cypress. That Italian cypress, I knew that it was basically not in the ground for very long, and I knew that the roots would not have spread that far. So we put the shovel in the ground. Initially, the gentleman that I got it from for free, he wanted to dig a little further away from the trunk, but I could tell that divot was the old divot from the palm tree, and he kind of wanted to dig on the back side of that divot. And I was like, nah, we don't need to go that far. We can really get this thing out if we did within, 1.5 feet from the base of the tree. So put the shovel in there, and it went straight down. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to pop it out. The problem was the tree was a little dry. You could see a little browning on the leaves. I could tell that tree would have died if it stayed in that position, because the soil that it was planted in was A, too sandy, not enough nutrients in it. B, it was on the west side of his house. So that tree would have basically got scorched from about 11:30 to probably 12 o'clock until basically sun went down. And that tree is just too young to be exposed to this Arizona sun for that length of time. So it was a perfect time to go get the free tree and move it. There was another one which was on the east side of the home. I knew that tree was better off without even looking at it, just because it was on the east side of the house, and that tree was allowed to have a little bit of sunlight, a little shade. It was a little cooler over there, so the ground held a little bit more moisture, and I knew that it was going to be a little more difficult digging that tree out, which it was. We got it out in less than 5 minutes or so. The other one, it probably took 2 minutes to get out, 2 or 3 minutes, and the other one took about 5 minutes. But without further ado, I'm going to show you guys my process that I do when I am bringing in trees from the outside. I plan to turn these into bonsai And I'll kind of explain that in a video. I want to do some air layers on that, get some good practicing done on my air layers, and turn them into bonsais, and trim them down and have them looking good. And probably maybe I should be able to do everything in less than a year. I'll take that aggressive goal. So it'll be good to document this transformation. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. All right, guys, so here we go. So I have 2 Italian cypress that I got from searching, hunting, and shopping for discounted plants. The guy was giving away for free. One of them is about maybe 8 feet tall and the other is 7. I'll walk you through the steps that I do to treat these. One of them is kind of dried out. It needs some rehabilitation. The other one is in pretty good shape. But without further ado, I'll get straight into it. So here is the first one we have. And I won't show you the, well, maybe I will show you the root ball. Let's see. Hopefully you can see that. Very sandy. The roots are dry. I'm going to soak it in some water for a bit. So, get some water going on it. Make sure I'm still in frame. So on the bottom of this first pot, right around there, you see water coming out. There's a weep hole down there. So I'll just let it sit in this pot. I'll hit it all throughout the day with some water. And then I'm going to go get some more soil. And I'll put some soil around the root ball of that. Put some sphagnum moss on it. And kind of just try to keep it in a place where it gets some sun, but not too much, so it can come back. So let me do the second tree. This one is in much better shape. I'll transfer the plastic bag with this one. Make sure I'm still in frame. Add some water. All right, so I'll go ahead and let me wet this one down as well, just so it can take some water in through the leaves. All right, so I'll let those sit out here for maybe 5 or 6 hours or so, soak up as much water as they possibly can, and then I'll come back out here and I'll spray them down with some of my organic pesticide that I use for gardening. I'm not sure if I want to spray them. I'll probably spray it with the stuff that I don't eat. I'll probably go with the Azamax on it, just to make sure that there's no, bugs living in here that I can't see. I don't want to transfer that to my backyard. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll let this dry out. By the time this is dry out, I think it'll have enough water, hopefully soaked into the roots, And then later on today, I'll be going to Lowe's to grab some soil. I'm not sure if I can put these in regular potting soil, because I'm gonna turn these into bonsai. My goal is to hopefully do an air layer. On these. So if you could imagine maybe cutting it right here, getting rid of the. Let me zoom out so you guys can see the full tree. Let's see. So this is the full tree here, as you can see. Let me kind of show you why I want to just a quick little pan here. Lock that in place. So I'm thinking making a bonsai probably about here, and doing the air layer in this area right here. And I probably can do maybe 2 or 3 air layers on that if I'm lucky and get away with them. But having the first one kind of down here, having them, you know, maybe a 1.5 foot apart. And hopefully I can turn this into a whole bunch of trees. If I can't do trees, I'm sure I can do cuttings off of these. Just by pulling some of the branches off and putting them into the rooting hormone and seeing if they root. So I'll try it in several different ways. It's pretty hard to get Italian cypress out here in Tucson, and I got these for free, so I'm real happy with them. I just hope that I'm able to save the one on the right. It's a little drier in terms of root ball than the other ones, so definitely want to make sure we get a nice soak into the plant, and then we'll be coming back with our sphagnum moss, giving it some fertilizer. I got to see what's the proper fertilizing schedule for Italian cypress, but I assume it would be right before they start to push buds for the spring, but I could be wrong. And then I'll probably start doing the air layers when I start seeing signs of the tree looking healthy. Or maybe I'll wait till spring to do air layers. If I can wait that long, I might just cut it off. Who knows? But I wanted to kind of walk you guys through the process. So I hope you enjoy it. All right, guys, I'm back. So the trees have been soaking for probably 2 or 3 hours now. I did some research and I found that I could pot these in just regular potting soil. It won't hurt them. Just need to be careful on how I water it. So what I have right here is 2 containers that I'll keep them in. I have my plastic bottles in the bottom of them, and the plastic bottles are just used to allow air into the bottom of it, and also to, you know, allow the soil to dry out so it doesn't hold too much water. So what I'll do is I will add some soil to the pots, and then we'll get the trees in. So I'll pause and I'll come right back. All right, so I got some soil in the bottom of that. Now I'll be coming back with my sphagnum moss. Picked this up from Home Depot probably a couple years ago. This stuff goes pretty far, so I'll just open it up for a second. Take a second to open it up. And this is how sphagnum moss looks. And I'll just wrap this around the roots. And then I'll come back. All right, so on the first tree, we got some sphagnum moss around it. So what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll put some more soil on top of that. So I'll pause and come back. All right, so I have my sphagnum moss in my second pot. I'll add some more soil to the top and balance it off. I'm done over here on this one. I got it kind of leaning against the wall, which is fine right now because it'll add more character to it later. I'll be back. All right, we are back. Let me drop some soil down there. I gotta wait for it to dry before I sweep it up. So now we're back. We're gonna just spray the bottoms of this. This is Azimax. It'll just go in and knock out anything that's in there. Also spray the soil to make sure it gets in the soil. Let me pause and lift the camera up a bit. Alrighty, let's get the tops up here. Come back, get the middle. All right, guys, it was one more thing that I failed to mention to you guys is my fertilizer that I plan to use on the tree. So it rained last night. We got a little bit of rain last night. We got a little bit of rain today. This is actually the day after. What I plan to do is, this is some organic starter plant food. This is actually used for organic gardener. It promotes roots and growth. I am not particular to this brand. I bought a whole bunch of roses from someone last year. Well, actually, probably 2 years ago now, and they gave me this fertilizer or this plant stock food, and this is the NPK rating on this is 122. So it's very low. You can use this is it's made by S Poma, and it's organic start. You can use any type of fertilizer on anything, long as you use it within reason. A lot of times people think if I got tree fertilizer or fertilizer for my lawn, that fertilizer can't be used interchangeably throughout the garden. It can in certain instances and it cannot in others. If you have synthetic fertilizer and you're eating fruits and vegetables, you don't want to put anything synthetic on your fruits and vegetables, because you don't want to be, consuming synthetic material. You want to go for organic type of thing. Other thing is, you don't want to put a NPK value on something that's too high. So if you are trying to grow bell peppers, you do not want to hit bell peppers with lawn fertilizer because it's just too high. But you got to think about this in reality. In the actual soil, when it rains and you have a flood, everything that's in your garden that's organic and everything that might be in your lawn that's synthetic, they're gonna mix together. They're gonna mix together. All of the nutrients are gonna, as it flood, they're gonna rise, and then they're gonna drain to the lowest point in your yard, and all of that stuff is gonna get blended up anyway. This is organic. Everything that I use in my backyard is organic. So I don't have to worry about that pooling and mixing of fertilizer. But that's the last thing I wanted to share with you guys. Again, this is just something that someone gave me for free. I'm not partial to this brand. I used this on a couple things before and it worked pretty good. So I'm gonna feed this to my my Italian Cypress trees. Because of the low NPK value, again, this is a 122. And as things warm up and I see that the tree is starting to push new growth, I will step it up to a little bit more aggressive fertilizer. So without further ado, it's the Black Bonsai Guy, and I'm out for real this time.